Hey, Jared.
Yes, Abe.
Would you be mad if I smashed up your favorite bar with a hatchet? Welcome to That's History, Babe. My name is Abe.
I'm Jared.
And today we have quite the treat for you.
If
you are interested in our type of historical content, you can go ahead and follow us on all socials at That's History, Babe. All socials, That's History, Babe.
3 little words.
How are you doing today, Jared?
I'm doing pretty well, all things considered. It's a really beautiful day in New York City today.
Stunning.
The sun is shining. The birds are singing. It's almost a springtime. Actually, I think
It is spring.
It's been spring
It's
for
spring.
a while. It's been spring meteorologically for like 6 weeks, but
Yeah,
it's finally kind of starting to feel like it a little.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went for a skate yesterday, roller skating.
Oh, that's fun. Do you just roller skate like on the street? Like where do you roller skate?
Yeah, I'll skate like on the street or I'll skate in the park, kind of wherever.
Sounds lovely. Sounds so
It is
freeing.
nice. To feel the wind in my bob.
Mm.
Speaking of.
Yeah, have you guys
Rebrand!
Did you clock the rebrand? Doesn't she look beautiful?
I have to wake up every morning and activate it. Did you know that?
And do the little.
I went skating. Live, laugh, love it.
That sounds lovely. I was on a trip to Colorado last week.
Ooh.
It was for work. I was way up in the mountains. I slept in a treehouse.
What were you doing?
I was on like a writer's retreat for a project I'm working on. But yeah, no, I was like in a treehouse and but the treehouse had a box spring mattress. So like I wasn't just like sleeping on the floor, and it was also like insulated and there was electricity. So like it wasn't like
Right. So you were
bare
glamping.
bones. But yeah, I was sort of glamping. But like when the wind would blow really hard, the treehouse was sort of like situated on like a hillside. So mountain breezes.
Was it actually like in a tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the whole thing would creak and crack, and in the pitch dark of night in the wilderness, I was convinced that a bear was trying to climb into the treehouse. I was like, this is it. I'm about to be like the fucking grizzly man in that Werner Herzog documentary where there's audio of him being eaten by a grizzly bear.
Yeah. Okay, country boy.
Country boy, I love you. Which I feel like Country Boy, I Love You is fitting for our topic today.
I think so too.
I really think so.
Should I introduce the topic and then get into our annals, or should we do some annals real quick?
Let's just do annals quick. Yeah.
Okay, quick annals. Mine is this. This. I don't know what's up with like my Instagram. One that I've been seeing a lot lately is Beauregard Mercer IV, Esquire. He's like this old Southern lawyer who sounds like Foghorn Leghorn.
And what's his bio? He describes himself as an aristocratic Southern lawyer.
Which, yeah.
Coming to you from the Fulton County Courthouse in Northeast Georgia.
A foggy morning. And him and like Stacey Kennison. This is Stacey Kennison here talking to Sandy Bullock and Bob De Niro, who are using witchcraft on me.
And the absolutely insane thing is, I had seen both of those people on my Instagram feed
Like
before you ever mentioned them to me. And that is when I knew that we were spiritually connected in some way.
Do you think we're soulmates?
I think we might be, because honestly, when you sent me that reel of Beauregard Mercer IV Esquire, I was like, oh, I'm literally one of his most loyal followers.
No, like same.
I have been... do I know about Beauregard? I know about Beauregard. I sent you back a saved reel of Beauregards that I had on my phone.
Beauregard H. Mercer IV Esquire. Today the H stands for horny. Because apparently there was a woman in the courtroom.
His opposing counsel was wearing a red dress.
And she was a very beautiful woman.
Very buxom Southern lady.
A buxom woman. Groomed, not a hair out of place.
Not a hair out of place.
I like that he really showed the appreciation for the effort she put into that look.
I know, and as he should. I mean,
and did he win or lose that case?
He did not mention. He did not say whether or not he'd won.
He did talk about little Beauregard.
I do feel as though it's kind of irrelevant whether or not he won.
I think he might have lost. Distracted.
By the beauty of the opposing counsel.
By her feminine wiles.
Oh, feminine wiles.
So that's my annals. Is I just like, I've been getting a lot of these sorts of like random people who are just talking about their lives, and I love them. I love the random people on my feed. I also randomly will get, I think I just get a lot of people who like schizo post.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is what Stacey Kennison is. Like, she
absolutely.
Clearly has some severe mental illness that's not being treated.
Yeah.
And I do feel a little bit bad every time she shows up on my feed because I'm like, who's advocating for her?
No, for real.
Where's
like,
Stacey's support system?
Does Stacey have like a family? Does Stacey have like friends? I don't know. But Sandra Bullock, aka Sandy.
Well, I don't know. I feel like all of these things wouldn't be happening right now if Sandy would just stop doing witchcraft
and Bob.
Bob De Niro and Sandy Bullock need to just lay off.
Shout out to Stacey Kennison.
Girl, we are your biggest fans.
This is Stacey Kennison here.
Hi, Stacey Kennison here.
I am a Christian woman, and that is why Sandy Bullock and Bob De Niro are using witchcraft on me.
Right.
So Beauregard Mercer IV, if you see this,
baby, we love you.
We're big fans.
Please come on the show.
We're big fans.
We'd love to have you on. Talk to us about the history of Georgia law.
Please. I need to talk about the history of Fulton County, Georgia, where Atlanta is located. Right?
Indeed.
Atlanta's in Fulton County.
I think.
God, if only we had Claudia here. And let's address the elephant in the room. Claudia's not here. Claudia's not here.
She has been sadly put down. She was having some trouble in the kennel. She actually tried to take a bite out of a kid in the neighborhood.
She did bite my ankle.
We took her to the vet, and they said, if you want to avoid a lawsuit, the best thing to do is to just get it over with.
Yeah, we had to
so
legally.
That's what we. It's
so,
sad, but you know
when like you send a dog to a farm upstate. Well, we sent Claudia to a second-tier American city.
Yes, we sent Claudia to Dayton, Ohio. That's where she lives now.
We sent her to Memphis,
and she's very happy. She's doing well. She's making friends.
Yeah, it's great.
But she'll be back. In all seriousness, she will be back.
Yeah, she'll be back. She's away for her actual job right now that pays her money. We
doing
do not
work
pay her.
for her real occupation.
Yeah, her job.
Yeah, because she thinks she's so much fucking better than us because she has a job.
Yeah. I also have a job, to be clear. The only one who doesn't is Jared.
I kind of have a job.
Jared kind of has a job.
I have several.
Jared is a freelancer. Leave him alone.
I have a lot.
Leave him alone.
I have a lot of things.
He's a freelancer and he's not gay.
He's not gay.
He's not gay. He just likes Broadway.
Honestly, when I watched those videos, those reels, I was like,
never
have I related to something harder in my entire life.
Actually,
because my girls were going to fucking war for me in middle school.
That would have been me.
They
also
were like,
having been gay.
He's not gay. He's not gay. He loves girls.
Yeah.
He's touched my boob.
She's not gay. She just likes the way that Lady Gaga dances.
Like, it's not a big
That's
deal.
the only reason she watches the Bad Romance music video this much.
She
likes the dancing.
He loves the sound of music because Julie Andrews is so hot.
Yeah. Guys.
Did you ever think of that? Probably not.
He's not gay.
He's not gay. She's not gay.
He's not gay.
You actually have been in a long-term relationship with a man, though. So, like, you're...
Don't... I was a phase. My God.
I was confused.
I was confused, Jared. It was a phase. I was figuring it out.
God.
I had a boy phase and...
You got it out of your system.
Ugh.
I
sends a shiver down my spine.
For my annals for this week, I went to a Broadway play last night that I really enjoyed with my mans. It's called The Ballisters.
What's it about?
It's about like a HOA committee.
Incredible. I love the mundanity of like diving into suburban life.
Yeah, and it actually
like an HOA, because HOAs are crazy.
I thought it was gonna be like something that was like like boring identity politics buzzwords, because like there's a lot of that at the start of the play, but then
and that's very Broadway right now.
Right.
Stuffs.
But it also had but it had something ultimately really interesting to say. Like it had a cool, unique voice to it, and it was funny, and it had good movement. I enjoyed it. It was
I'm
a
really
good
glad
show.
you liked
Highly
it.
recommend, and it is a New York Times critics pick. Not that that would make or break my opinion in any case, but it is just sort of like a good, I guess, endorsement to give.
Suppose.
If you're into the whole New York Times thing, which a lot of people aren't. But yeah, the old gray lady. That's what they call the New York Times.
Oh my God, I thought you were calling me that. I was like, hello.
Well, that I only call you that behind your back. But
I'm 1 year older than you. You're just mad.
You're like 14 months older than me.
You're just jealous because my ass is so fat.
That is true.
So
you were reaching for something like an hour ago, and I was looking at you like reach for the top shelf, and I was like, damn, that waist is tiny, but that ass fat, baby. Like literally.
Yeah.
Like birthing. Okay, so what are your 5 W's for today?
Okay. Who? Carrie Amelia Nation,
Woo!
aka Hatchet Granny.
Love her.
What? Temperance and Prohibition,
Mm-hmm.
property damage, Freemasonry, delusions,
Hatchets.
failed marriages, and very dramatic exits.
Ooh, yes.
Mm-hmm. When we're going to be covering the life of Carrie Nation, so it's going to be 1846 when she was born, November, she's a Scorpio, to 1911 when she passes away.
Okay.
Where are we? Kentucky, Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma.
And some of these towns have whack-ass names. Medicine Lodge, Kansas.
Are we going to talk? No, because when I was doing my research, I didn't realize that Medicine Lodge was the name of the town. And I was like, what is this Medicine Lodge she's talking about? What does that mean? I was like, is this Christian Science?
You're like, well,
So
where is,
I thought
what
it was,
town is the Medicine Lodge in?
No, literally. I was like, I thought it was like some Christian Science thing. And so I was like looking for like, where, because I mean, it would be like kind of around the time. So
yeah, Mary Baker Eddy.
I was like, I don't know how far it spread by that point. So I was just like, not sure. So anyways, Medicine Lodge, Kansas is the name of the town.
Yes, it is.
Why? I couldn't tell you. And wait, actually, why? Sorry. I just happens that I'm on why.
Yes.
And this I can tell you. It's a wild story, and the work and the things that Carrie A Nation did would contribute greatly to Prohibition, passing just 8 years after her death. So that is going to be the rundown of where we are going today.
Okay.
So I figured I'd break it down into a couple parts, talk about the early life and the first marriage of Carrie Nation. The first marriage will be very consequential. Then we'll talk about the second marriage. Tell you guys a little bit about temperance and Prohibition and the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and then her time smashing bars, because that's where we're going to go. But before we get into that, costumes. So I'm wearing this shirt that I got on Depop in honor of a real crazy white girl, Miss Carrie Nation. Also wearing my boots. Okay, boots.
Okay, boots.
That's my ego boots.
I'm wearing an Abe shirt that I love. I love Scottish boys.
Because her family was from Scotland.
And I'm also wearing a Marlboro jacket in honor of her, or in recognition rather, of her stark opposition to tobacco use.
She hated tobacco. I feel like we should be drinking out of like a little like fancy glass for this.
Or like I almost just said a jug, but no, she wouldn't have liked a jug.
No,
because a jug would carry green alcohol or something.
Exactly. Well, she wouldn't like a fancy glass either because they'd all have green alcohol in them. But you know, that's whatever. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up so y'all can see my guns. Cause it's springtime, baby.
So yeah, we were talking about. Well, you were mentioning just now about how a lot of her actions sort of brought more publicity and notoriety to the Prohibition and temperance movements. But do you think there's also, and we might get into this a little bit later, do you think there's also a case to be made that some of her more militant actions hampered the goals of temperance?
I would say maybe like a bit.
Yeah.
But I would say largely her bold actions really drove the cause of temperance forward and kind of boosted the popularity of it.
Okay.
We'll crack into it.
Okay.
So we'll start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Carrie Amelia Nation, later spelled Carrie with a Y, so her name was literally like Carrie
the
A
Nation. Yeah.
Which, okay, interesting.
Like put it on your back, babe.
Yeah, she put the nation on her back. Do you remember back in like the King Kylie era when like Kylie and Jaden Smith and like Pia Mia and all them damn people were making their Instagram and like Twitter handles like I put the blank on my back? Like I put the industry on my back. I put the art on my back. Do you remember that?
No, because I was too busy studying for school and going to bed at 10 p.m.
Anyways, so Carrie Amelia Nation was born in Girard County, Kentucky on November 25th, 1846 to George and Mary Moore. She was born on a plantation and her family did own slaves.
Oh. Okay.
Did you know that?
I actually didn't know that. I don't know a lot about her early life.
Her family did. I read her autobiography for this. I didn't read the whole thing because it's damn near 400 pages.
Jesus.
And there's a lot of like random stories in it where I'm like, not relevant for me right now. But I did read pretty much the entire like first probably 7 or 8 chapters of the book. And then I kind of skipped around after that to like what was relevant to my research. But I really wanted to get a feel for her early life, especially once I found out that her family owned slaves. I was like, okay. So she writes about her memories wanting to spinning the wool.
Oh, like a spinning wheel.
Yeah, like a spinning wheel.
Okay.
With the enslaved women who lived on the plantation with her. And her dad had a special little spinning wheel made just for her. So she would go and she would spin with the enslaved women for funsies, even though the enslaved women weren't spinning for funsies.
Fair to say.
And she called the women who some of the women her family enslaved Aunt Mary, Aunt Judy, who was her favorite, and Aunt Eliza. She actually wanted to take care of Aunt Judy in her late age. So in the early 1900s, she went to South Texas to try to find her. She ended up finding some of Aunt Judy's kids who told her that unfortunately 6 months earlier, Aunt Judy had died. But that she had said she wanted to live with Carrie. Now, could Carrie just be saying this? Absolutely. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
I also think that some of those relationships that people had, especially if you weren't, because Carrie is a child in this time, right? What year was she born?
She was born in 1846.
1846.
So by the time she goes
yeah.
to find Aunt Judy, she's like a woman in her 60s.
Okay.
And she's writing this in her autobiography. So yeah. I feel like her autobiography, there's some stuff that can be like verified by other sources, and then some stuff where it's kind of just like source, trust me.
Okay.
Many such cases with autobiographies. So we're going to take her grain of salt. But I thought that I want to expound a little bit on her views of chattel slavery. She had a whole section in her autobiography about her experiences with Black people that her family enslaved, and her thoughts about them as a group. And largely, what she wrote was in her own way, like very positive. But it was clearly still, her views are informed and uphold white supremacy and racism, because she's like, they are like simple people, like they're very moral, like they're very like, they're not, treacherous or liars. Like, I really respect their faith. But she ends the section by saying like that her advice basically to freed Black people is to know their place socially, and that they will never be the social equals of white people. Right.
So the whole thing is, it starts patronizing, it ends patronizing.
Exactly. Exactly. And she also believed that whiskey was worse than chattel slavery. Her words, her words. I'm not exaggerating
direct,
that.
Yeah.
This is direct from her autobiography. After the abolition of slavery, at the end of the Civil War in 1865, she wrote in her autobiography, published in 1909, that a worse slavery is on us now. I would rather have my son sold to a slave driver than to be a victim of a saloon.
Jesus.
So she literally thought, she was like, yeah, slavery's not great, but it's better than alcohol.
Well, I mean, as with all devotees of causes or zealots in causes, there is sort of a lack of perspective, I think, evident in all of Carrie's work.
Yeah.
And her beliefs.
Yeah.
And like, that is just because think for a second about what you're saying. It's like,
stop and think. But like, you know, she writes all this stuff about how when she was growing up on their plantation, like the enslaved people loved her father.
Everybody was happy. Yes,
and it was great. And she was friends with the other children. And sometimes
it's Margaret Mitchell Gone with the Wind type of
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I was reading it and I was just like, like having grown up in the South in many states where people did used to have enslaved people.
Mm-hmm.
They used to enslave people from Africa and Black people who were born in the United States. You know, you read these accounts and you're like, it makes my brain like short circuit.
Right.
Anyways, speaking of her father, George, she exalted her father. She called him an angel. She loved her father. She thought that he was like this really, really amazing person. And she described him as a Union man, but a Southern sympathizer. Like, she said that he cried when the South seceded from the Union, but then her and her family moved south to keep their enslaved people. But that her dad also, she also said that her dad was glad when the slaves were freed and he felt the responsibility of owning them. Her words, direct quote. Yikes.
Okay.
I literally wrote yikes in my notes because it makes my like skin crawl. It reminds me of like kind of what we talked about in the Petticoat Affair episode with John C. Calhoun and like the necessary evil or like not John C. Calhoun said it was a necessary good, but like Thomas Jefferson was like it's a necessary evil.
Yes,
and
where
I think
it's like there's no alternative to the social order other than
he's like they're here and I have to
right.
Yikes.
Which is probably what people with sort of less of an ability to perform mental gymnastics as like a Calhoun or an Alexander Stevens.
Yeah.
People who couldn't convince themselves as wholly as like the most ardent pro-slavery people had to do this weird sort of mishmash compromise thing in their mind of being like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And
so the best I can do is
gotta make the best of a bad situation.
Be a good owner.
Right.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay. So a little bit about her family, kind of just as a unit. She exalts her father, but there are some issues on her mother's side of the family.
Okay.
Other members of her family, she grew up with like kind of a large family in Kentucky. Other members of her family struggled with delusions and mental illness.
Okay.
She had an aunt who, during lunar phases, would run up to the roof and try to be a weather vane, and they'd have to like get her down.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh
I'm just
at that.
imagining like hearing, like feeling that storm breeze and a distant rumble of thunder, and she's like, "Shit!"
I'm just picturing somebody going up to the roof and literally being like, what the how is that?
Girl, I don't know. She also had a cousin who when he was around the age of 40, he like reverted baby style and started like crawling around again. But both of these were noted to be like temporary delusions and they had an end.
Okay.
Right. So they were like acute and they weren't like something that these people thought in perpetuity.
Okay.
Her mom, however, had persistent delusions through her entire life. So there's like kind of two accounts of what this delusion is. Some scholars say that her mother during Carrie's childhood thought that she was a lady in waiting to Queen Victoria, and then later on thought that she was Queen Victoria herself. And then some say she just thought she was Queen Victoria. I saw more sources claiming that her mom thought she was a lady in waiting, and later it developed into her straight up thinking she was Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
And this persisted until like the end of her life. She would ask people to refer to her as Your Majesty or Your Highness. But no one would really do that except for the people that they enslaved, who, according to Carrie, would do it humorously. So they didn't really believe her, but they did it kind of with like a, okay, Your Highness.
Yeah.
And she was so delulu that it was like fine. So when Carrie is 8, they move to a different county in Kentucky and they get a different farm. And then a year after that, when she's 9, they move to Missouri and they get a different farm. Now in 1860, she's 15 years old and the Civil War starts. And from Missouri, they move further south to Texas, like I said, so her family could keep their enslaved people. But like, yeah, a Union man. She was very religious, and she was raised in a religious environment. She was like raised as a Methodist.
Okay.
And she talks about different points in her life in her autobiography where she was like straying from the righteous path. Like she had a little klepto phase when she was a teen, and she would just
many such cases
take stuff from her mom and from her aunts, and then she says like Jesus basically put her on the right path. I mean, Jesus,
something about
Jesus.
Moses.
We've been, the whole time we were setting up and prepping, we were going, Moses.
Like
we're Ann Baxter in the Ten Commandments.
Moses.
Oh, Moses.
Oh, Moses.
Oh,
Moses.
Oh, Jesus.
Moses. She throws the flowers out the window. Moses.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Well, Carrie's Methodism, actually, that sort of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Methodists are...
Yeah, like
sorry.
In relation to her subsequent actions, I think it makes a lot of sense because the Methodists are all about, taking action for the good of others.
Aren't the Methodists like, method? Like they're like
method actors, yes.
Yeah, aren't Methodists like people who like devote themselves to the role? Isn't that a Methodist?
Yes. It's
and Lee Strasberg.
Lee Strasberg was the first
she
Methodist.
Was the first Methodist.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Marilyn Monroe, it's devout Methodist.
Dustin Hoffman,
Adrian Brody,
Daniel Day-Lewis, Methodists.
They're all Methodists.
I hate you so much. Oh my God.
Okay, so through her life, because of her Christian upbringing, she's really into charity, helping the poor, helping the destitute, opening her home to these people, inviting them around and doing good works, giving them food and things like that. She was a real spitfire. She would speak her mind. She would preach. She didn't really have an issue with standing up for what she believed was right, as is evident later on in her life.
Very evident later on.
I know. So she's still in Texas at this point, and at the end of the Civil War in 1865, her family takes on a boarder in their home, which a boarder was like renting out a room in your house for extra money, which kind of makes sense. Something they would be doing around this time.
Yeah.
Because her family was not very successful with their farm, especially after they didn't have any more slaves.
I was just going to say, if you're taking in a boarder, it's probably also a sign that you're not doing great financially. If anyone has seen the Kit Kittredge movie, her family takes in a boarder. The one with Abigail Breslin? Yes.
Yeah. Her family takes in a boarder.
Joan Cusack has the mobile library.
I forgot.
I fucking love that movie.
Joan Cusack was in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love Joan Cusack.
She turns out to be a bad guy.
I love Stevie Nicks. It's her in School of Rock.
I caught the reference. Yeah.
Thanks.
It was just so spot on. You took my breath away.
Was it really good?
It was so good.
Was it actually?
It's pretty good.
I feel like you're lying to me.
I don't know. It's only one.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Fuck. Okay, so she meets a guy named Dr. Charles Gloyd. Gloyd, like Lloyd with a G.
Horrible name. Anyway, continue.
Charles Gloyd, not a good name. Wait until you hear about Mother Gloyd.
Jesus.
Dr. Charles Gloyd. He starts boarding with her family, and the two fall in love. They're like around the same age.
Okay.
They're both in their like mid-20s. He might be a couple years older than her, but at first I was like, he's a doctor. Is he like way older than her? No.
You didn't need that much training to be a doctor back then, I don't think.
No, he basically went to cosmetology school.
You could be like an 18-year-old doctor.
Yeah, basically.
They're like, you know how to pull teeth? Welcome aboard. Hello. It's interesting that she was in her mid-20s because that's
she was low-key hag.
It's bordering on spinster.
I know. My great grandma got married in 1950 or the late 1940s, and she was 25 when she got married, which was considered, you were teetering on the edge of old and dusty at that point, and that was in like the 1940s, 50s, let alone the 1860s.
My grandma was 18 when she got married. Yeah.
My grandma was 18 when she got married. She was 19 when she had my dad. Shout out, Grandma. If you watching this, love you.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma. So anyways, the two of them fall in love. Her parents do not approve of this union because they can tell that he has a drinking problem.
Oh, no.
They can tell that he's an alcoholic, that he's a lush. So her parents did not approve of this because they could tell he was an alcoholic, but she honestly did not give a fuck. So she marries him in November 1867. And then 5 days after they get married, he like comes home and he throws himself down on the bed and he passes out drunk. 5 days later.
And I would be like, that's my man.
And she was like, right. Also very notable, he is a Freemason. And she said that he would lock himself in the lodge. And after this marriage and this time with him, she had a lifelong hatred for the Freemasons and any secret society for men because she believed that they just led to like alienation from the family and neglect of the home.
Men can have no interest outside the home.
Not if it's being a Freemason or in a secret society.
Well, what fun is a society if
his
it's
interest
not
should be church and work.
True. And me.
And fuck your wife. And fuck your wife. No, literally.
You should be doing three
she was
things.
She was like, I was in agony because I didn't have the love of my husband. I was like, she was so pissed.
She's like, what?
She's like, why the fuck did I get married?
Well, she's like, why the fuck are you out at the Masonic Lodge? You should be home making love to me.
You should be home.
Right.
Yeah.
Eating the dinner that I made and then fucking me to, to the moon and back. Like,
yeah, exactly.
The hell.
It's really fucked up. So a lot of her beliefs come from this experience in her life. And what are her beliefs around alcohol besides that whiskey is worse than race-based chattel slavery? Which is a very hot take and one that I do not agree with.
One I do not share. This program does not endorse.
It does not reflect our views. I'm just the messenger. So she believes that the drink habit destroys in men the appreciation of a home, and that it leads them to cheat on and neglect their wives. She also believed that her husband's addiction and the stress that it made her feel during pregnancy caused her daughter Charlene, spelled Charlie with an N on the end, Charlie. Anyway, she believed it caused her to be born with a mental disability.
Is that how that
she
works?
did not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No. And also she has this crazy story in her autobiography from like later on when her daughter's like 12. She like gets a hole in her cheek like all the way through. I don't know really what that was about, but she went to the doctor and she was like, my daughter's not a Christian. She's not a Christian. We're talking about.
No, what is that?
That video of that woman and she's screaming and she's like, the devil, she is not a Christian.
No.
Oh my God. Will be linked in the sources below because that's so Carrie Nation. So she leaves Charles. And when she leaves Charles, it was after he came home drunk and like low-key kind of violent. And so she leaves him and she takes their daughter, Charlene. And when she left, he said that if she did, he would be dead within 6 months. And turns out he was right. And he died within 6 months. So then he
knew himself. He knew himself.
So then Carrie is left to take care of not only Charlene, but his Dr. Charles Gloyd's widowed mother, who she calls Mother Gloyd.
Mother Gloyd. Okay.
So she's left to take care of Mother Gloyd. And so she prays. She like tries to get her shit together. She works outside the house to be able to support the family while Mother Gloyd cares for Charlene at home.
Okay.
So she prays to God to basically send her a husband. She's like, girl, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
She's so real for that.
She was like, girl, I can't do this. I need a husband. So And then she says that 15 days later, she meets a man who would become her husband. He was a newspaper editor and a part-time preacher and lawyer out of Warrensburg, I believe Kansas or Missouri. I think it's Missouri. I don't know. One of the two.
Do you want me to look it up?
We can just do that and put it on the screen and post.
Sure. Okay.
So it's a town called Warrensburg in the ordinary. And
Founded by Alex Warren.
And his name is David Nation.
David Nation. She's picking these guys with fuck ass last names. Gloyd, Dr. Gloyd, David Nation.
So he was 19 years her senior, and they got married 6 weeks after they met.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds like my perfect relationship. I mean, that's always what I'm trying to do. So.
Yeah. The marriage sucked. You won't be surprised to hear. Shortly after they got married, she was like, this sucks. He wasn't an alcoholic. He just sucked. And she felt like he deceived her on many things, especially his faith. He did not like basically how she performed her Christianity and the Christian things she did. He didn't like that she would invite people into the house, that she did a lot of charity. She was just like, he didn't like how Christian I was.
Sorry, I love Jesus. Send me to jail.
Sorry, I love Jesus more than you. So they get a cotton plantation in Texas. This was after the Civil War. So no enslaved people, but I'm sure sharecroppers, which is basically the same fucking thing. And it doesn't go well because guess what? They don't know anything about farming. They do not know anything about farming, especially cotton, which is notoriously difficult to cultivate and to harvest.
Well, if he's like a preacher, you said he was a preacher. What else is he?
He is a newspaper editor, lawyer, and part-time preacher.
So why would he be like, you know what industry I'm going to get into? Farming.
I don't know, girl.
But there's so many people that did shit
well
like that back then. It's
no,
crazy. Because they're just like, you know what? I really want to own land. I'll just.
And land was cheap. You could buy hundreds of acres.
Of course.
For very cheap. It was all part of Manifest Destiny.
Westward expansion.
Which is also not good.
Not great.
Also not good. It's U.S. imperialism, and we do not endorse that on the show.
Yeah.
I have very strong feelings about it.
It's pretty bad things happened.
When the U.S. Wow, Jared. Very astute.
Categorical.
You can quote us on that.
Analysis from Jared Tatro. Bad things happened.
Jared Tatro on U.S. imperialism. Bad things happened. So the plantation is not going well. She starts running this hotel, and that's also hard. They were broke, and she was depressed. David gets into trouble with a rival political faction in Richmond, Texas, where they live. So this is the point where they move to Medicine Lodge, Kansas. She didn't feel like she was well liked in the church, the Methodist church in Medicine Lodge, because she wasn't afraid to speak up. There was a woman who was decried as an adulteress by her alcoholic husband, and Carrie was the one person who stood up for her and said there is no evidence of this, only this drunkard's claims that she is an adulteress. And the preacher really did not...
Clock it, Carrie.
Yeah. And the preacher didn't fuck with that. And she just felt really alienated from here. And she was very unhappy in Medicine Lodge. She continues to sort of experience a mental decline that I think, based on reading her autobiography, we would probably describe now as like bad anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Yeah. She and David end up divorcing in 1901. And they never had any children together. She had her daughter Charlene from her first marriage with Charles Gloyd. And he had a child from a previous marriage named Lola, who was older than Charlene. Kansas is where she becomes interested in the temperance movement and the cause for prohibition. Kansas did not allow the retail sale of alcohol at this time, which is what was referred to as being a dry state.
And there were many dry states. People, I think, who maybe have a casual knowledge of the lead up to the 18th Amendment might not realize that, like, this was a decades-long process building up to the 18th Amendment.
It wasn't just like 1920, boom, prohibition nationwide.
Alcohol goes from being 100% available to being not available at all. Yeah. It was like there were
since
lots
like the 1880s,
of states,
1870s even, who...
Well, the first state, I think, to institute a total retail ban on alcohol was Maine in the 1850s. Yeah. So, but, you know...
So it had roots. It went way far back.
Right.
way before the 1920s. There were decades and decades of lead up and advocacy for temperance and for prohibition
on the local, state, and then finally on the federal level.
Exactly. And even today, while there are no totally dry states, there are still a lot of dry counties in places like Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, places where the temperance movement became a really big thing.
I had a college friend. I had a college friend who grew up in Kentucky, and I remember her telling me that she grew up in a dry county, and I was like, as my Irish Catholic brain was like, a what? There's no what do you mean?
I don't understand. How do you take communion?
What do you where I can't where's the as we would say in Massachusetts, where's the package store?
Where's the package store? So Kansas is a dry state at this time, and she sees that it's a great advantage to the state. But the issue is that the laws are not strictly enforced, and there are plenty of places that you can still get alcohol, like corrupt drugstores or what she refers to as druggists, which was like the term that was used at the time for like pharmacies, and illegal saloons. So this causes issues on a societal level, and Carrie Nation is not into it, with her already negative views on alcohol.
She said, I am not having it.
Before I get into what Carrie did about this, I want to talk a little bit about the temperance movement and prohibition, just so you guys have a familiarity with what's going on here. So through the 19th and the early 20th centuries, it became really clear that drinking was baked into certain parts of American culture, and alcoholism was really prevalent. Again, especially as time goes on after the Civil War, it just becomes a worse and worse issue as industrialization comes in, and there is a dedicated working and underclass in urban centers.
Right.
Saloons, even in like small towns, mining towns, industrial towns, the saloon is like the one place that these men go after work to relax and to drink. And there wasn't a lot of like medical knowledge on alcoholism and the long-term effects of alcohol on the body. And a lot of the time alcohol was even used as medicine, whether it was to relieve physical pain or emotional pain. You know, there were a lot of people who used it as a coping mechanism.
Right.
So alcoholism just becomes a worse and worse issue as the 19th century progresses.
Yeah.
And saloons played a very significant role in society starting in the early 1800s. And again, progressing with time, both in the upper echelons and the lower and working classes. Saloons became political centers. They were often used as like polling sites when they were voting.
Mm-hmm.
So especially after universal white male suffrage comes in.
And particularly in big urban centers in places like New York.
Yeah, where there are lots of immigrants
right.
who are coming in, and how are they connecting with the community? How are they making a space for themselves? Well, they're
right.
going to their local saloon.
Because that's where you'll meet other people. That's where you might find a job. That's where you can have your mail sent to.
Yep.
And
it's where you can have a drink.
Right.
So it becomes very popular. They're seen as these community centers and watering holes in many places. But some people see them as sinful centers of corruption. So it becomes increasingly contentious. And we see in December 1873 the founding of the Women's Christian Temperance Movement to serve as a response to the issue of alcohol in the United States. It was the first mass political movement by American women, or by women in American history. Mm-hmm. So it's the first time women have organized on this scale. And in order to take on the power of the saloon as an institution, they look to the only thing that they see being able to rival it, which is the church.
Right.
So to get them to make progress with their goals, they align themselves with Christian organizations and churches, and there's a really big religious element to what they're doing. They needed this especially because they didn't have the vote at the time. So there was no way that women could pursue through secular democratic means any changes regarding the laws on drinking, alcohol, saloons.
And also a secular political movement, I think at this time would have been considered a step too far outside of the acceptable female sphere. It was like, it's an acceptable thing for women to become socially active through a religious organization, but to do it in the same way as men through secular political institutions.
Not allowed,
not
babes.
acceptable.
Yeah, women were seen as and we've talked about this in some of our other like 19th century episodes, like the petticoat affair and Victorian childhood. Women are seen as this like moralizing force in society, and they're seen as the people that should be upholding moral standards. And you weren't really going to do that if you were pursuing secular politics,
right?
Which were seen as not moral, not part of the home life, and not a woman's place. But she could pursue them perhaps through if she's using Christianity as her framework,
right?
They argued the Women's Christian Temperance Union. I don't know why I called it movement. It's the union, WCTU. Which my friend said sounded like a college radio station. You're
listening to WCTU. It's just 17
West
hours.
West Central Texas University.
All we play all day, every day are just Francis Willard speeches.
Oh my God.
It's just
beautiful. So they argued that total abstinence on a societal level was the only option. It was the only solution that there was to the rampant issue of alcoholism, because you couldn't tell who would or would not become an alcoholic, who would or would not become addicted. So the only way to make sure that it was safe out there was no one can have alcohol.
There's a quote that I really, really like that Ken Burns used in his really brilliant 3-part series on Prohibition.
Love that.
Very much, I would very much recommend to anybody who wants to learn more about this topic. But he quotes a minister who said, "Little good has ever been done through the absolute shall," which is...
Yeah.
That was the cornerstone, though, ultimately, of this movement, was telling people with no exception and no sort of, leeway at all that they must behave this way, and then finding a way to statutorily impose it through the law.
In a way that it was even in 1920 amended to the Constitution,
right.
Which is also crazy that was an amendment to the Constitution, because like, why wasn't it just a law? Why wasn't it a whole like amendment?
Because the idea was that if you could affix it to the Constitution, it could never be repealed. It would be permanent.
That kind of doesn't work for amendments.
They assumed that, but they didn't know that at the time because an amendment had never been repealed before. So they were
you could just issue another amendment that's like, just kidding about the previous one.
Literally, I used to have a pocket copy of the Constitution when I was a little kid, and if you opened it up and you went to the amendments, the 18th Amendment the text was there, but it was all struck through.
Just kidding. So the women use the power of the church and religion to move their cause forward. The way that they do this is they go around towns where they live or other towns where they've traveled to with Bibles, and they ask saloons for admittance. It'll be whole groups of women from the WCTU. And when they were usually denied admittance to the saloon, not only because people knew that they were with the WCTU, but also because they were women and there wasn't really a place for women in saloons. Like, many saloons didn't allow women in, or if they did, they had to go in like a back door and they had to sit in like a back room. They weren't allowed to like be in the saloon in the same space as the men. Or in the same way.
Drinking was not a coeducational activity.
No, it was not. And
really?
there were certain things that women couldn't drink. Like in Ireland up until like the 1970s, they wouldn't
whiskey, right?
No, they couldn't drink beer. They couldn't have pints.
Oh, a woman couldn't have a pint.
She couldn't have a pint. She couldn't go out for a pint with the girls.
You know McSorley's Ale House in the Lower East Side? Yeah. Women weren't even allowed inside there until the 70s.
In McSorley's in the Lower East Side?
Women were not allowed.
You're joking.
In the East Village, I think.
In the East Village. Yeah, the East Village. You're
Sorry.
joking. It's on like St. Mark's or something. It's like near there.
It's near St. Mark's. It's near Cooper Square.
Yeah.
Yeah, women weren't allowed inside until like 1977. Yeah.
Yellow. Crazy. So anyways, they're usually denied entry. So then they would all kneel on the sidewalk outside of the saloon, and they would pray, they would sing hymns, they would read scripture, and they would cry and beg saloons to close and to send their sons and their husbands home.
This is the women's crusade, isn't it? I know this movement.
Yeah.
I made a video about this.
It's the crusade,
Once upon a time.
So people who are advocates of the temperance movement or prohibition are also called dries. And dries were really known for organizing well. There were newspaper, probably because they were all sober. Think about, like, if you really think about like how many people were like drunk for a lot of the time in history, a lot of things begin to make more sense. You're like, oh, right.
It's like everyone
was hammered.
Me and all of my wet friends were fucking sloshed. So we didn't
Yeah.
have time to have a committee meeting.
I know,
on
but
how
the
to oppose
Dries
the Dries.
definitely did. The Dries organized well. There were newspapers, pamphlets, community organizing, books, and even films that were made talking about the merits of temperance and prohibition and the moral and ethical pitfalls of alcoholism and alcohol consumption. Even big industrialists later on in the 1880s, 1890s, 19-teens were big advocates for temperance, such as John D. Rockefeller and Henry Ford. Because, and you want to know why? It was because they believed that excessive drinking led to productivity and safety issues in these industrial jobs. That's also why they would have the 5-day 8-hour work week, because they would say 5 days a week, 8 hours, and then you can go drink as much as you want. But that gave them more time to recover before they came to work the next day, rather than working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day.
And that's a good replacement for what they did in the early Industrial Revolution, which was ring a bell for a period called grog time.
Grog time.
You would go
and they would send like little boys to go like bring the grog and bring the beer
go
and the
have
ale.
a drink. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
In the middle of the workday while you're working heavy machinery. Yeah.
Turns out it was harder when you were building cars and
Yeah.
people were getting crushed in machines.
Yeah.
So temperance is also inextricably tied to women's suffrage, because temperance is a response. The rise of the temperance movement is a response to the fact that women do not have the vote to be able to enact any of these policies that they want to enact. So women were on the forefront of the movement of temperance, and they had to rely on other methods to enact change, such as hatchets or perhaps rocks. There is a quote attributed to Carrie Nation, who was a suffragist. I couldn't find in her own writings this quote, but it was something she allegedly said, and I was able to find it in multiple sources. You refused me the vote, and so I had to use a rock. She got involved in the WCTU as a jail evangelist at first, which is a person who will go to the jails and they would talk to people about why they were locked up. And she said that so often it was related to drinking. And she even met a woman who had killed her husband. He said that he would marry her and he would be her husband, but they never actually got married.
I see.
And she was like, "You better marry me or I'm going to kill you." And he didn't
was
do
like,
anything.
"Just try."
And so she shot him and she killed him. And so Carrie Nation went and visited her, and they had these big long talks, and apparently it was good. And Carrie was like, "This is so fucked up." Every time she's going to a jail, she's like, "This is so fucked." And she found through her work, going to these jails and talking to these people, that even though that Kansas was dry, she found that many of the people were getting their spirits, whiskey, beer, other evil spirits, that's what she called them, in a place near the Oklahoma-Kansas border called Kiowa. And this is when we get into our smashing.
This is where it gets good. It gets real good.
Yeah, it's been shit up until now, so thanks for hanging out.
I have been bored out of my mind until now.
Snooze fest.
Honk shoe.
Honk
Let's
me.
go.
So while she's living in Medicine Lodge, like I said, she seems to have this mental decline into anxiety and depression. And she also experiences visions, which she had experienced as a child, but one of our authors said was no different than the visions of Joan of Arc.
Oh, well.
So, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways.
That's such a weird thing to say.
We're going to leave that.
We're
going to leave that. She describes having a vision in 1900 where a voice, which she believed to be Jesus, woke her up from her sleep by saying, "Go to Kiowa." That's how I imagine it happened. And "I'll stand by you." So go to Kiowa, I'll stand by you. She interprets this. This is a direct quote from her autobiography. And she says it is a clear interpretation that this means take something in your hands and throw at these places in Kiowa and smash them. And so that's exactly...
And smash them.
That's exactly what she did. Before she gets into her whole like bar smashing down in Kiowa, it is reported that she went to the drugstore of a man owned by a man named O.L. Day, and she rolls a keg of whiskey onto the street, breaks it up with a hatchet, and then sets it on fire.
You know what? I
love her swag.
I have to respect this about Carrie Nation. She is a direct woman.
I respect that.
She knows what she wants to do, and she just does it.
Absolutely.
You know?
So on June 6th, 1900, Carrie gets in her wagon and she rides 20 miles south to Kiowa. again, near the border with the Oklahoma Territory, which is not a state at this time, I don't think. And she goes to a saloon owned by a guy named Mr. Dobson. And in her autobiography, she writes, Mr. Dobson, she says this is what she said. Mr. Dobson, I told you last spring to close this place. You did not do it. So now I have come down with another remonstrance. Get out of the way. I do not want to strike you, but I am going to break this place up. She had been collecting rocks and stones and bricks for months before this.
For months?
Yeah. So she comes in her wagon with all these bricks and rocks and stones, and she smashes up the place. She's breaking the windows. She's breaking mirrors. She's breaking glasses and bottles. And after she smashes up this place, everyone in the saloon is like, because it's like, at this point, she's what, in her 50s?
Well, yeah, like imagine.
At this point, she's in her 50s.
Imagine I was at the bar last night. Imagine sitting at the bar and like someone's mom just comes in and starts fucking
and says,
smashing.
I told you to close this place last spring and you did not do it.
You didn't do it.
So now I have come with another remonstrance. Get out of the way. I do not want to strike you, but I am going to break this place up. And she did it. I think that someone should do that to Carmelo's.
I love Carmelo's. Why are you talking shit about Carmelo's?
Carmelo's is so straight and cokey and spooky.
Carmelo's, that's the cheapest beer in New York City. It's $3 for a Budweiser.
I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't give a shit.
I don't care. I'm Abe and I only smoke weed. That's you. That's my impression of you.
I hate Jared.
Yeah, shut up.
Oh my God, I'm gonna destroy you.
I'm gonna smash you up.
You fucking wish. You know,
I don't want to strike you.
I'm taller than you. I'm bigger than you.
Is that? I don't know. I feel like we could go a couple rounds in the octagon.
Jared, how tall are you? How much you weigh? What's your weight class?
It's none of your business.
Are we even in the same weight class?
Truthfully, honestly, not. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Oh. So anyways,
Whatever.
She did this that same day. She goes to 2 other bars in Kiowa and she does this. So she smashes up 3 bars that day. After this, she was held in jail, and she went out on bail. She was only in jail for like a second. She returns to her town and she found that the news had been telegraphed there, so it had spread. And this makes her quite popular to a lot of people. Not all people. There were haters who loved alcohol and hated Carrie Nation, and they would throw eggs at her.
That was me. That was me in a past life, chucking eggs at Carrie Nation.
Throwing eggs at Carrie Nation. But she becomes quite popular, and she continues her crusade of smashing up bars. This is not the first time she does it, and it certainly is not the last. Well, this is the first time she does it. Sorry. And it certainly is not the last. And she gets other ladies to join her. So she would rock up with like a group of ladies, and imagine being a bartender. You're like, oh, fuck. So eventually,
here they come.
So eventually, she switches from using rocks and bricks and stones to using a hatchet. Other ladies with her would use rocks and stones and bricks, but she went hatchet mode.
And I heard she had a special name for the rocks and stones and bricks.
Oh my God! Well, I actually didn't see this in my research. What was it?
Her smashers.
Oh, the smashers. Yes. No, I did see that.
She
called them her smashers. So she would take all her different smashers and she would smash the place up. And she was arrested.
What a crazy gal.
I know. She was arrested in several states, including Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. She served time in jail in several states, sometimes for weeks to months at a time. But as temperance continues to grow in popularity, so did she. She goes on tour in the UK and Ireland, where she does like a speaking tour, and she is received very well by the suffragists who were there. And as we know, the suffragists in the UK were quite militant.
Very militant.
They were very militant.
Much more militant than the American suffragists.
The American suffragists would become more militant, I think, leading up to the passing of the 19th Amendment. They become more and more militant through the 19-teens. But the British counterparts for them were always very militant. So they love her. They're like, we love that you smash up bars with hatchets. Alcoholism is really bad. It affects women in the 19th century like disproportionately, with the level of domestic violence increasing steadily over the century. And Carrie as well, in her time as a jail evangelist and her time working with the WCTU and her many decades spent volunteering and being part of church communities, sees how much alcoholism affects the wives and the children of these families. And women, because they can't vote, have very limited legal recourse at this point. If their husbands abandon them, if they gamble all the money away, or they spend all the family's money on alcohol, there's really nothing that they can do about it.
Right. Because your legal is, from the time that you're married, your legal existence is you don't exist legally.
Yeah, exactly. You're an extension of your husband,
absorbed into your husband. Yeah,
exactly. So she goes on tour the UK and Ireland. She's received by the suffragists, and then she goes on a smashing tour in the United States of over 20 saloons and druggists in the Plains region of the United States. So, and in her book, she writes about like kind of what she thinks is the cause of all of this illegal alcohol sale, and she blames the Republicans. She even brings up, speaking of U.S. imperialism from earlier, this is what I wanted to circle back to. When she's writing about this, she says that the Republicans were the cause of the sale of alcohol in the U.S. and the Philippines, which I found very interesting, because this was after the U.S. acquired the Philippines and the Spanish-American War, and began their imperialism there. Which guess what, guys? Didn't go well. Sorry, Philippines.
It was really terrible.
It was really horrible. We don't have time to get into the U.S. occupation of the Philippines right now, but perhaps we will talk about that at some point.
Yes.
Especially if we ever talk about the Spanish-American War or Teddy Roosevelt.
Interesting stuff, though.
But horrible.
Stuff. Yeah.
And very, more so than interesting, very important to know about, and very important to learn about, and very important to understand the modern Philippines. Anyways, so she believed that it was all the Republicans' fault, as well as the Freemasons, and also Yale specifically. She hated Yale.
She hates Yale University?
Yale University in Connecticut, in New Haven, Connecticut.
I mean,
I can imagine.
It's sort of interesting that she hates the Republicans, but it also makes a little bit of sense because she is from Kentucky and her parents were Confederate sympathizers, so they would have been more Democratic to begin with.
But she very points to like the Republicans as being, because they're the ones in power, they are the ones who are allowing the illegal sale of alcohol. She even writes to she writes and meets with before she smashes up bars, different governors, mayors, senators, people like that, to try and speak to them about why is this happening? Why are there so many illegal bars and illegal saloons?
Right, when there's statutes on the books
and she's
that
like,
say
we
that
have
the sale
these
of alcohol
laws.
Is illegal, right?
Yep, she says we have these laws. Why are you not enforcing them? And she said that they were always Republicans. So and again, this is different than Republicans now. This is like very different.
Well,
maybe we'll do an episode about that.
Well, she was also operating in Kansas, so I mean, and that makes sense because in Kansas that was a Republican state, as it is today.
Before I get into her post-smashing life and death, which will be pretty quick because she died pretty soon after the smashing, I want to do a little segment right now called Love It or Hatchet. Okay. You tell me I'm going to give you a couple of things and you tell me if you love it or if you hatch it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Oscars watch parties. Love it or hatchet?
Hatchet.
Hatchet. Why do you hatch it?
Because I've never had a good time at one. I'm always kind of hot.
I'm
always kind of bored.
It's always like too many people in this apartment,
and I'm uncomfortable. I can never. There's never room on the couch.
Long as hell.
It's long as hell. I'm sitting usually either on the floor or on like some like poof or ottoman. And there's nothing good to drink, and the snacks are terrible. And by the time I leave, my stomach hurts because I've had too many sugary cocktails and too many pretzels.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should not drink. Well, maybe Carrie Nation. Okay. I get that. I think really dependent on the Oscars watch party, on the host. Very dependent on the host in the space.
True.
If it is like a really cool person with a nice apartment, I can definitely get down, and I can get down with a floor sit.
For some reason, when you were talking about the host, I thought you were talking about the host of the Oscars. I was like, it matters if it's Jimmy Kimmel or Conan O'Brien. Like that's what's gonna make or break.
It does, because I'd rather watch Conan O'Brien. He's objectively hilarious.
Hilariously funny. I love Conan.
The hilarious Conan O'Brien. The hilarious Ross Matthews.
Oh, Ross Matthews.
So, okay. Run clubs.
Oh, Hatchet.
I think it's important for straight people to have stuff to do and places to hang out together.
Me too. I'm glad that they can have community activities.
But am I ever going to go? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not.
I hate running.
I don't run alone. And I'm not going to run with a club.
The thought of being hot and sweaty
and in a group of
huffing
like
and puffing.
30 people.
I'm not doing
all
that.
running down the street. That's embarrassing. I don't want to do it. I don't like it.
That's nonsense. I'm not doing that.
And when I heard like straight people were using it as like a dating thing, I'm like, right. So I really don't want to go. I really don't belong
also, it's
there.
like, could you think of a less appealing way to meet a potential partner?
You're like,
so what do you like to do in your spare time? When you're not doing this.
when I'm not doing this, I watch a lot of reality TV.
Oh my God. Like Vanderpump Rules.
Have you seen Love is Blind?
Of course, yeah.
I love Love is Blind.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So where did you say you grew up?
Connecticut.
Oh
What
my
about you?
God. Oh, me too.
Oh my God, where?
Oh my God, I'm from Cheshire.
Oh my God, I'm from Cheshire.
Oh my God. And then they immediately get married.
Yeah, and then they get married.
And scene.
So, and they have a hashtag for their wedding. It's
they
like
have a wedding website. I think my sister had a wedding website.
it's like
so I
marrying
shouldn't say that.
McGowan.
Marrying McGowan. And their names are like Josh and Kylie.
I knew it was gonna be Josh. I was
Josh.
literally thinking Josh.
Josh and Kaylee.
Shut up. How is it spelled?
Mrs. McGowan.
Kayleigh.
Of course.
I went to school with a girl whose name was spelled like that.
How else would she
all
be
my
spelling
years. Anyways, okay. Shirley Temple drink.
Oh, love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it. Sprite or ginger ale though?
Sprite every day of the week.
Okay.
Every single day
I
of the
was a
week.
Sprite girl because that's how it's served in the South, but then I think up north it's served more with ginger ale, and I like it with ginger ale.
I've never had it with ginger ale. It
You
was
probably
always,
have. That's how they do it at Ginger's.
No, it's Sprite. I don't. Girl, I'm not like you.
You've never had this ginger Shirley Temple?
Girl, I'm not getting
It's really
Shirley
good.
Temple when I'm going to Ginger.
No,
I'm getting a
it's
fucking
really
beer.
no, it's a really good Shirley Temple.
I mean, I take
It's
your word for it.
exceptional.
When I was growing up,
Shout out to
though,
Ginger's Bar in Park Slope. You guys make a bangin' Shirley Temple.
I don't want to get
and
too far.
Their dirty Shirley's good too.
I've heard that. I would try.
Dirty
yeah.
Shirley with gin.
I've never. Okay, I don't want to get too sidetracked right now, but when I was young, we used to go to this restaurant in Burrillville, Rhode Island, called Wright's Chicken Farm. It's a family-style restaurant where you sit down and they just say chicken dinner or steak dinner, and 99 out of 100 people say chicken dinner, and they just bring pasta, fries, chicken, salad covered in vinegar, all this stuff.
Ooh,
And we would always get a Shirley Temple when we were at Wright's Chicken Farm.
I love a Shirley.
And it was just grenadine, two maraschino cherries, and some Sprite, and it was fucking delicious.
You got to get it with ginger ale and a
so
lime.
good.
When you get it with ginger ale and a lime, you're like, now that's a mocktail.
Wright's Chicken Farm, I love you, baby. I miss
Shout out
you
Wright's
every
Chicken Farm.
day. Every day I miss
they
Wright's
still
Chicken
around?
Farm. Of course they're still around.
We can go.
It's in Burrillville, Rhode Island. That's
Well,
a hike.
Yeah, but I mean, we can make it happen. Anyways,
That would be a great travel log episode for us to do.
so love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, love it. Love it, Shirley
I
Temple.
love it. Shirley Temple girl.
Also love it.
Love it.
Animal crackers in my soup.
I'm glad you said that because the next one is animal crackers in your soup. Love it or hatchet.
Fucking love it.
I honestly think I'm gonna hatch it because I think of animal crackers as like a
Graham crack is
as like a sweet
yeah.
treat, like an animal cracker.
No, like I can't imagine like a saltine animal cracker, but I don't know.
I'm like, did they used to be like that?
I guess probably.
I guess they're probably way sweeter now than they were back then.
Animal crackers in my
Soup. And then the final Love It or Hatchet is going to be owning the Shirley Temple Little Darling DVD collection box set.
Love it.
And
love
guys, this
it.
might be a hint for a future episode.
Could you name even one Shirley Temple film?
Oh, Heidi.
Yep.
Heidi.
That's one. My grandma used to have.
You went, name fake fan, name one Shirley Temple film
movie
on the Little Darling DVD collection box set.
My grandma had a box of VHS tapes, and they were 3 Shirley Temple movies.
What were they?
Curly Top,
Mm-hmm.
Baby Take a Bow,
Mm-hmm.
and Heidi.
Right.
And they were excellent.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Shirley Temple movie.
They're really boring.
Well, yeah, it's like a 7-year-old
It's
girl like dancing and like I don't know that
She
people.
kind of talks like a baby the whole time.
Boomers
and
were like into that kind of thing.
I just like I don't really. The cuteness is over after like the first 2 minutes. Like it's worn off.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like
well,
now.
she's adorable.
I
but,
can't
like,
stop thinking about how she's exploited.
I'm obsessed with the fact that like I look at this little girl and I'm like, she went on to be the U.S. ambassador to Czechoslovakia. So she did.
That's great.
She had a very successful career in the Foreign Service.
Oh my God. We will get into that on our future episode about
About
Shirley
Temple
Temple
Black. That was her married name.
Oh.
Shirley Temple Black.
Shirley Temple Black. About Shirley Temple Black. STB.
Shirley, rest in peace. We love you.
Every time I drink a Shirley Temple, I think of you. What an icon. So thank you for playing Love It or Hatchet with me.
Of course, that was so much fun.
Thank you. Now just to tie things all together, we're going to talk about her post-smashing life and death. When she was 60, she was living in Oklahoma, and this is when she writes her autobiography, which is called, I don't want to mess this up, so I had to scroll up to my source list, The Use and Need of the Life of Carrie A. Nation, written by herself.
It's a pretty good title.
I know. It was published in 1909, but she wrote it at the time that she was living in Oklahoma.
Call Me By Your Nation.
And she moved to Oklahoma. She, in her autobiography, she's like, I'm going to stay in Oklahoma.
Carrie By Your Nation.
And say it again, Jared.
I'm sorry.
Say it again while I'm trying to make a point.
I'm sorry.
I wish I had Claudia here. I miss Claudia.
Continue.
So she moves in her autobiography. She's writing this in like the 1906. She's like, I'm going to stay in Oklahoma.
Okay.
For my life. But then she ends up moving again. So she moves to Arkansas and she buys a house there. And she turns this into a boarding house and a school, which she called National College in 1907. It did not have college courses. That's just what she called it. And she does, in her boarding house, she does the most of the cooking herself. She educates her boarders and students on scripture. So she's still like out here doing the whole thing. And she continues to travel around the United States, and the school remains open after 1907. So, just because she's not there doesn't mean that the school isn't open or that the boarding house isn't open. She continued to work with the Women's Christian Temperance Union until January 13th, 1911. She was giving a speech in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and everything seemed to be going well. Until suddenly during her speech, she stops, she gasps, she says, I have done what I could, and then she lapses into coma.
Oh my God.
Which is incredibly dramatic.
She yells out, I done what I could.
And then she goes into a coma. Now,
just when I thought she couldn't be any more of an icon. Like, I know. For real.
According to the sources that I read, which you all can check out and let me know if you interpreted this differently, the way that this was written sounds like this happened during her speech.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going with. But if you know for any reason that no, it actually wasn't during the speech, it was after, it was like whatever, just leave a comment.
If any of you were there that day in 1911.
It's true. I was the hatchet.
I was playing the role of the podium, and you were the hatchet. Yes,
I was the hatchet.
That was when we met.
I know. It was so sweet.
It was a beautiful day.
So she is transported to a hospital in Kansas, the Evergreen Place Hospital, and she would pass away about 6 months later on June 9th of paresis. So probably a stroke. She probably had a stroke. She was how old was she when she died? I'm going to do some quick math.
Well, she died in 1911. She was born in 1846.
Yeah, you're going to do this mentally?
Yep. So she would have been 61. Okay. No, 65. 65.
She was 65 years old. Yeah, cuz her birthday was in November.
65.
So she was 65 years old when she passed away in Kansas, and her legacy kind of lives on through the Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, through that whole kind of lower plains region, anyways, her work paves the way for the passing of 2 amendments to the U.S. Constitution in the next decade. The 18th Amendment, which was Prohibition, and the 19th Amendment, which was white women's suffrage.
Actually, 3 amendments if you think about it.
And then the one that repealed the 18th Amendment. So those were ratified into law just 8 years and 9 years respectively after she died. History has largely dismissed her as kind of a crazy woman who had these crazy militant ideas, but she was a lot more than that. She was probably sane, despite the fact that we might see some of her views now as crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she's certainly eccentric, but I don't think
she was strong in her convictions. And And doing that as a woman at the time would get many people to be like, this bitch is crazy. And then, I mean, well, the hatchets and the breaking up the bars with hatchets
didn't quite help.
But I don't know. Men dump tea in the harbor and they're not crazy. So why is it crazy when women bust up a bar with a hatchet?
Right.
Because their husbands are at that bar getting drunk. Their sons are there.
Spending
they're
their paychecks.
Getting drunk, spending all the money that is needed for the family, neglecting them and their children, coming home and then abusing them. So, like, can you blame them?
No. And
I
also,
don't.
they also...
And there wasn't like a...
There was no recourse. So they
didn't have an ability to vote on these matters. So they had to take matters into their own hands. You refused me the vote, so I had to use a rock. Period.
I think the tragedy of the whole thing is that they were correct in identifying a really serious social issue. And this is how I feel about the Women's Christian Temperance Union writ large.
Yeah.
They were correct in identifying an endemic problem in American society. But their means of addressing that problem were oversimplistic and completely ineffective.
Not completely ineffective.
Well, not completely ineffective. And also the WCTU.
And they had many efforts, like the jail evangelists. The hatchets were a very small part of that, and the WCTU did make an effort to separate themselves from that. But the way that Carrie Nation saw it was, we have to get serious about this. And if they are not going to shut down, they had asked them to shut down their saloons that were illegal. They were like, this saloon cannot be open. They had asked the lawmakers to shut them down because they were in violation of the law. But it turns out that they had stake in it, or they would attend, or, a variety of other reasons. They just didn't feel like it. And so after exhausting all possible options, Carrie Nation decided to take matters into her own hands. And I think it ended up being rather very effective. Because people knew when she was coming. They feared her arrival when her and a big group of ladies showed up and they busted up these damn bars. But it's the very idea. I think it was effective in accomplishing some of their goals, but I think it is just the idea of a complete prohibition of a certain substance in a society, which we end up seeing the same later on with drugs.
That's more
which is the current crusade of the WCTU, by the way, because they are still around and they are still active.
They're much smaller, but they are still around. They have a website.
And you look on it and you look at like more, and it's like just a bunch of different drug names. And so I think that their current crusade is against
drugs,
drug addiction, which again is a very serious issue. Fentanyl, heroin, meth, like all that stuff. So do I agree with the way these things are handled? Maybe not. I didn't look enough into what they're doing now. I just was like, shit, they're still around.
Give me the
hatchet. I looked at their website to look at the date they were founded, because I was like, what's their history according to them? And I'm gonna link the history section of their website in the description.
I think I think I was probably not.
I think that was oversimplistic.
I was not as specific as I could have been, but what I'm trying to say is that what I meant when I said it was oversimplistic and ineffective was a national amendment to prohibit
the manufacture and sale of alcohol, which then extends to making the consumption of alcohol.
Yeah, because when you institute a prohibition of anything, it never actually solves the problem that you want to solve. It forces the activity outside
to go underground.
Of the purview of the law.
Where it is not regulated, and then that leads to the rather excessive drinking that the Prohibition period is known for.
Right.
So it kind of has the opposite effect, but I think that the WCTU was doing what they thought was right at the time, and what they believed was within their power to do.
Yeah, you could never.
I think that there were not really other options for these women who were greatly suffering because of the causes, or because of the effects of alcoholism.
You could accuse the WCTU of a lot of things. You could not accuse them of acting in bad faith, I think. They were doing something.
I don't think they had any like ulterior motives.
No.
I think their motives were very clear, and they were very openly stated.
And if you compare the WCTU's agenda with some organizations like the Anti-Saloon League.
I was going to say, because men founded some shit later in the 1890s. Damn near 20 years after the WCTU was founded, and the men found the Anti-Saloon League.
And the Anti-Saloon League also was a very different group. It was a single issue group with male leadership that was a political lobby. I mean, they created the original political lobby in the Anti-Saloon League. The WCTU had a pretty broad agenda of problems that they wanted to address. Orphanages, homelessness.
Which they believed all could be connected back
to alcohol,
to the plague of alcohol
Right.
and alcoholism on their societies. And yeah, like I said earlier, one of their main causes was women's suffrage. And so without the temperance movement, would we have seen the passing of the 19th Amendment in 1920, the ratification of it? Hard to say.
Yeah.
Because women have been advocating and through these more militant means, through things like the hunger strikes that happened.
Right. In prisons, when women were in prison.
Absolutely.
Like
and I mean,
Paul.
Carrie Nation went to jail like 5 or 6 times.
Right.
I didn't count the exact number of times. So if you are like a Carrie Nation stan and you know that, please feel free to correct me. I'm not the expert. But she went to jail several times, and you know, she was willing to face the law,
right,
in order to move her cause forward.
And I think a lot of this comes back to women sort of gaming the political system in such a way that they never step quite outside the acceptable bounds of womanhood of the time, right? Because you're right. I think that the alliance between suffragists and the Temperance Movement is absolutely essential to the passage of the 19th Amendment, because the suffragists were able to get this rhetorical framing from their alliance with the Temperance Movement that the ballot and the vote was a means of what they called home protection. Yeah. That was what Frances Willard called it, home protection.
And sometimes it wasn't even really like an alliance. It was like a big Venn diagram.
Yeah.
With people like Alice Paul in the middle, people like Frances Willard, people who would advocate for both the causes of temperance and women's suffrage.
Yeah.
And they made that same connection at the time, saying these two things are linked. So that is the story of Carrie A Nation, Hatchet Granny, the bar smasher of the Midwest.
That is the hatchetation
the Great
of Carrie
Plains.
Nation.
The hatchetation of Carrie Nation. Carrie Nation carried a nation.
Boom. Slam poetry.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, yeah, they used to have signs up also in a lot of bars that used to say,
all nations welcome except Carrie Nation.
All nations welcome except Carrie.
Yeah, and it would have like a little like motif of her.
Merch. Carrie Nation merch.
Did you know she sold her own merch? She would sell like fake hatchets at like her speaking events.
So iconic.
I love.
Carrie, we miss you. Sorry, I drink.
I do not drink, which you would like, but you would not like weed.
You would not.
Actually, I'd love to smoke a blunt with that bitch.
She would be like, "This is wonderful, so medicinal. I feel so relaxed now."
I feel like she would low-key like it.
She would hate that you were a lesbian. Actually, she wouldn't understand.
She would be like, "What could one woman want from another woman?"
She would just be perplexed.
She just wouldn't understand, but it's fine. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a follow on all socials at That's History, Babe. Our ad is, say it again, Jared, in your voice so they listen because you're a man.
That's History, Babe.
Incredible.
3 little words.
3 little words you wait your whole life to hear. That's History, Babe.
And we're working on the Patreon too.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for our Patreon, which should be coming in the next few months. We will probably be trying out some different types of content on our YouTube.
Yeah, seeing what you guys like, what you'd like to see more of.
Exactly, that you would want to see on Patreon. So definitely let us know what you think once that stuff comes out.
And also, we're open to suggestions.
Yeah, like what do you want to see from us?
What do you want to see us do?
If you're paying us money, we'll do whatever you want.
I'll get naked.
We'll do whatever. And I'll look. I'll look right at it.
Oh, wait, that would be so funny. You reacting to me naked?
Ah!
I step out of the shower and it's just you going,
Yeah, nothing I ain't seen before.
Oh, well, on that note, I'm Jared.
And I'm Abe.
And that's History, Babe.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Hatchet, 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 hatchet.